For this edition of Vertical Talk, we have the immense pleasure to welcome Mr. Brigesh Foota, Executive Director of the Mauritius Emerging Technology Council. He comes with a wealth of knowledge of more than 20 years experience in ICT and innovation. Brigesh, welcome to Vertical Talk. Can you share the moment when you discovered your passion for ICT and innovation, and what motivated you to pursue your professional career in that field?
I've thought about it, and I'll always remember my first, I would say, interaction with a digital world was when my father brought back home an Atari game. I was still very young, and we plugged it in our TV. The first time I literally interacted with something that was digital. My story with tech is that of passion rather than anything else. I always thought that any kind of change, any kind of progress will always involve information technology. So that's why I chose that field, and that's why I'm working in it. And I wake up very passionate every day about it. That's how it is.
Now, fast forward more in your professional life. You spent almost 8 years plus at Gartner. What was life really like in these big multinationals?
Yeah, Gartner was an incredible experience. It is the #1 global ICT research and advisory firm. It's huge as an institution. It's the most influential voice in technology, the most influential brand in technology. So I had the big opportunity to work there for nearly a decade, as you said, and every day I would work with the brightest minds in technology. That was my day-to-day. So my key point was, what I realized was how intelligent they were, how visionary they were, and also how humble they were in their approach. Because the common knowledge within ICT is there's no one single expert. You can't find someone who is actually an expert in ICT. That doesn't exist, but you will have subject matter experts. So I spent time with them, and I realized how they think is what is really important. The critical part of always asking questions around what we don't know, and making sure you are monitoring what's coming next and understanding the impact. So Gartner was an incredible experience. I traveled across the world, I'd worked with top organizations, billion-dollar turnover, CEOs, board members across the board.
I still sense and feel a lot of passion, and what you've lived and felt there is still, you're carrying it in your heart still now. Yeah. And to that point, you were destined, from what I hear, for a great career in Gartner. But what brought you back to Mauritius then?
The simple reasoning of working with all those countries and not actually working for your own country. I was in the forefront of several major countries in Africa, but then I realized that I was not doing enough for my own country. So I thought I would not want to get old someday, sit on a couch and think I had the opportunity to work for my country and I chose not to. So that's why I came back. That's why last year I returned to Mauritius and left everything in Cape Town, and I came back. And I said, okay, let me use that wealth of knowledge, experience that I've gathered, and try to influence my country with all that I have. That's what I've been doing for the last year and a half.
Giving back to your country, what your country have given to you. So, as a technology enthusiast, what would you consider the top 3 most important emerging technologies that could reshape the country economy in the next 3 years?
That's a great question. #1 would be definitely AI. I think it's in the top of mind of everyone. For me, #2 is blockchain. We're still around, even though we talk about it for a long time now. But blockchain for me is very important, and obviously #3 to make all of this happen is cloud computing. You absolutely need to have cloud computing behind to enable all of that. That's how I see it.
UNESCO has acclaimed yourself as an expert, and in Mauritius there's still a lot of people that is trying to get their brain about what this AI is and concretely how is this going to bring value and bring revenue to the country. Can you please extrapolate a little bit on that?
Absolutely. So, first of all, we always talk about AI and AI. It's a term that everyone is using, but there are different levels of AI, different stages of maturity of AI. AI has been around for years and years. We've all been using it on our mobile phones. The finance industry has been using it to detect fraud. It's been around for a long time. Obviously, since 22nd November 2022, when ChatGPT came out, then it went on another dimension where everyone is talking about it now, and we are seeing how it can benefit both on a personal level, but also on an organization level. AI will simply, to put it narrowly, impact efficiency, impact profitability very directly, simply by allowing organizations and people to be more efficient in what they do, save time and energy. That's for the short term. So you'll see a lot of organizations using AI tools to just do what they used to do quicker, faster, and better.
Among the three emerging tech that you mentioned, there was cloud computing. So 2 months ago, Mauritius Telecom, I cannot resist to ask the question, launched our in-country cloud, which is Mighty Cloud. So even if we see a lot of companies that is making the shift to the cloud, there is a vast majority that is still sitting on the fence or is still asking themselves how this technology can add value. So what message or what advice would you give to those companies?
First of all, congratulations for doing that. I think it was high time we have such an infrastructure in place in the country, and that can only benefit the country in the long run. That's how I see it. Now, if you want to look at AI, only when you have organizations that will start to think seriously about going into that route, have an AI strategy, a more AI solutions oriented, as they will see the value of it, you have to ask yourself some basic questions. How will you invest in it? Where will you use it? And at the end of the day, you will see most of the answers will be that you won't be able to put it on site in your place. So you obviously need to host it somewhere. Now, if you look at GDPR and all the structure around data sovereignty, you will require a top facility in the country to operate those services or solutions. And this is where the data center will come into play, in my opinion. So for me, it's just a matter of time before those organizations that are not thinking about it or not looking into it will start to seriously move towards such a trend. What they cannot afford to do is to ignore the positive impact that AI can have within their current activities. They can do it for some months, but they will see how their competitors will behave, and they will immediately realize that they will need to make the shift on their side. And from that part, when they will start to look at solutions and service providers, for me, it's just a matter of time before we realize that they will need a solid infrastructure in place to do that.
Okay. And when we hear companies, people in the IT sector, or even businesses, they are saying the more digitalized or the shift to digitalization, the more vulnerable we are becoming, because we are prone to attack, risk. So what would be your advice in tackling this dilemma? Because you can't sit and wait, but at the same time, you need to do the shift, the transition, and cope with the fast changes that is happening and the security threat. So how would you address this big problem?
The real question is not how to ensure that you're not attacked. That is not how any organization should think. The real question that they need to ask themselves is, what do I do when I'm attacked? Because you will be at some point vulnerable for an attack, and you will be attacked.
If you have not already been attacked and you don't know.
If you're not constantly attacked every day, which is probably what is happening. But the most important part for the business leaders to think about is in terms of business continuity. So we need to ask the questions to the chief information security officers, the CIOs. What will happen when we are attacked? How quickly can we get back to our core activity? and ensure business continuity. While at the same time focusing on defense, it's normal, but their backup plan is always to think in terms of getting back on track as quickly as possible when we are attacked.
Brigesh, now that we have covered the technology aspect of it, so I want to go back to one topic which is very close to your heart, which is the CIO Association of Mauritius. So tell me where this whole idea came from, and where did you came up with this concept?
It's not something that I invented by far. Nearly all countries in Africa or globally, they have their own CIO association. So for me, it was absolutely normal that we have our own one in Mauritius. And the idea was to get tech leaders, IT managers, directors, head of ITs, those that are leading the digital transformation charge within the organizations to come and collaborate, share ideas, share best practices, and at the end of the day, that would make the country win at large. You see, the way I see it is for a country to move ahead in terms of innovation and digital transformation, the government can do a lot. But at the same time, the champions within companies are the head of ITs. Now, indirectly, if as an institution we're empowering those persons with knowledge, with the right tools, with the way to actually push the innovation forward, we will be as a country pushing the innovation throughout sectors. That's why we set it up, and we have a CIO report that we will launch quite soon. That was made from my friends from Gartner. So we will be doing that. We will be showing the trends of a national ecosystem. That's a first. So that's been done already, and we will probably do an event to launch it out.
Okay.
But bottom line, the idea was to create a platform where there's collaboration, sharing. One great example was recently one of the banks had a cybersecurity problem, and immediately on the CIO Association WhatsApp group, they shared it. So that was great because at that point, all the organizations in terms of technology, they were already aware of such threats and they could take their measures. So this type of collaboration is what I try to bring through the CIO Association.
You're really around collaboration and sharing.
That's the best way to progress, in my opinion.
Okay. And if I'm a new CIO, I've just joined and I want to be part of the association, how can I proceed?
It's very simple. Go on our Mauritius Emerging Tech Council.com webpage, send us a message, and I'll just add you in the platform.
Now, coming to recently, we had the AI Summit, and you were one of the not only organizers, you were among the panel speakers, even intervened several times. So over the whole week of debate and discussion and meet eminent people that has come for the event, what are your key takeaways, and what would you believe are the key next step for Mauritius to become a prominent player in that field?
So the AI Summit was an opportunity to showcase the different types of AI, the ways that AI is impacting different economies, sectors, and this was delivered by a panel of international speakers. Yep. So we had representatives from different countries, different organizations, and even the Minister of AI from UAE came to share his perspective. So the approach was to use this platform as I would say, a brainstorming session for METC to get input for the national AI policy, which we're working on right now. So this 1.5 day workshop gave us the opportunity to get a lot of perspectives, which we're now using to draft our national AI policy. We believe we should be able to release that in the next 5 months, I would say. Obviously, it's a consultative approach, so there will be a draft that will be online for everyone in the country to give their input and ideas. AI is too important as a subject for us to do it on our own. It will involve all the stakeholders nationally. So this is the direction we are going, and the AI Summit was kind of a kickoff for that.
An instigator,
exactly.
Catalyst.
Now, it's worth mentioning that Oxford Insight says we are #1 in terms of AI readiness within sub-Saharan Africa. That's an independent research that was done by them. So it's good to see that we have the infrastructure in place, we have the right, I would say, framework in place, but now we need to push it to another level. And this policy will take us there. Obviously, we will see at some point when regulation will come, but right now regulation is not a priority.
Before closing this interview, I cannot ask you, since you're a tech enthusiast, what would be a recommended app that you're using today that you feel is most efficient and productive for yourself that you could share with our audience?
Yeah, that's a great question. I use many apps, so I think it's important to mention that. Every time I use a lot of apps, but one of the apps that I'm using right now is actually an app to monitor my sleep, which we call Sleep Rise. And that app actually tells me every day how many hours I did not sleep I need to catch up on. I'm very bad with my sleep pattern, so this app helps me regulate that frequently.
So it was a real pleasure having you on the show, Rigesh. So all the very best with all what you are doing, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you for your time.